Good afternoon, hopefully, if a somewhat windy one. I just wanted to capture some thoughts, really, and they revolve around the fact that about a month ago now, I took off a shed load of really old cartoon videos from the channel. Now, most of those were unlisted, so I thought, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference because people in theory shouldn't be coming across them. But I did know at the time that I did that even though they're unlisted, if they're on a playlist, people can still find them. And I don't think I'd quite finished the exercise of getting rid of them on playlists, and they could be on third-party playlists. So until I'd actually deleted them, I couldn't be absolutely sure what sort of impact they were or were not having on the channel stats. So if I take you onto the dashboard here, and there's a whole slew of stuff you can get on the YouTube Studio about how you are and are not doing, and you can see that the views are at 3K. They used to be at about 8. The watch time is way down. It's way down. It was at about 300 hours in the last 28 days. It's now down to 145, which obviously is about half. But the weird thing is that it hasn't had the effect that I thought it would have in another area, which is the earn area. Now, my earn area is not brilliant at the moment because I've only got 2,945 public watch hours in the last 365 days, so basically in the last year, and you need the 4,000 mark, I think, although that may have changed. But the interesting thing is that figure, that public watch hours figure, hasn't changed, even though I seem to be getting a lot fewer people looking at and viewing the channel than I had when I had the cartoon videos up. And what that has made me realise is that the figure that you get in the Earn tab is just the videos that would, in theory, take you towards your Earn targets, i.e. your public watch hours. So unlisted videos aren't included in that figure. So that's okay, I understand that. What I hadn't appreciated was that the dashboard figures aren't tied into that Earn scenario. So the Earn figures are different to the dashboard figures. That's what caught me out, because I couldn't understand why, when I was shedding watch time hours at that sort of rate, I'd seen absolutely no impact on the Earn hours, and that's because the Earn hours are clearly based purely on the stuff that remained listed rather than unlisted, which is interesting. It's interesting because it does mean that the stats that I've got on the Earn side of things at the moment are basically based on the stuff that has remained listed, i.e. all the sort of the toy stuff and the sort of retro stuff that I've been doing of late. So I find that really interesting because it's both positive and negative. I thought there was a sort of lag effect because I thought that the shift to doing more new stuff hadn't caught up with those stats on the earning side of things. So I thought they were going to keep on going up off the back of that. But in fact, I think they have always been showing that. So as soon as I switched over to unlisted cartoon videos and really started keeping an eye on that Earn tab, it was probably only picking up the things that could earn, and the other figures were just including everything. So that's been an interesting one to understand, because it means that even though your unlisted videos don't count towards your Earn potential, they do count towards the views and the watch time. And maybe that's just absolutely logical. I mean, that does make a lot of sense, obviously. But because I'd been sort of looking at the change in one, I was kind of linking that through to the change in the other one. So it's not something that I was previously aware of. I must admit, and that's kind of why it caught me out a little bit, because I wasn't anticipating that would be the case. I'll just mention, actually, I'm not looking at the chat here, so this might look a bit weird if I flick over to it, but let me just have a look at content and see if this looks like it's live. It often takes a while to update on this, I find. And it probably is. Okay, no, there it is, live now. There you go, live replay, live now. Okay. So if I go to... I'm not sure what this is going to do to the overall stream. You'll probably get me twice, I think. Can I go to that and then put it... I'm not sure if I can actually go live. Isn't that strange? Okay. So I can't actually watch it live unless it's on a different thumbnail or something, it seems. Okay. Still on a bit of a learning curve for this. What if I do that? Maybe then I can put it into a different browser and just watch it on a different browser. Let's try that. Let's just do that. Not going to like me doing that. Oh, there we go. Yep, there I am. It's probably a bit lagged, but yeah, there's no chat going on because no one knew I was going live, which is fair enough. Okay. All right. Well, I know I can do that as an option now. Then that's fine. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of what I do going forwards, then I think I just kind of carry on really. Because some stuff's done quite. Some stuff does do quite well. Other stuff is more sort of slow burn. But if you catch up with this at another point in time, if you let me know what you might like to see more of or less of. I mean, the funny thing is, if you look at content here, it makes me smile. So I mean, I've left my Starfleet videos up because I couldn't quite get rid of them, but there's only a few of them. So you can see the Starfleet opening titles video. It has been up there since 2006, 18 years worth of Starfleet video nearly. It's had 310,000 views. So that's quite nice because that's just. But it does make it look like that's the sort of thing that my channel does most of, which of course isn't the case, because when you get down to the bottom half of the screen, what you can see here is quite interesting because my Thunderbirds videos are doing quite well. So the Thunderbirds videos I only really started doing last year, but they're already up to sort of 5,000 odd views, which is a lot for my channel personally. They've got a Babylon 5 one there that's done quite well. Everyone loves to look at my Auto King helmet unboxing as well, probably because it's one of the new items of merchandise that I look at. I mean, I can understand why older stuff is a more narrow sort of market, I think, in terms of what people want to watch. So I get why that would be the case. That's completely fair enough. But we've got sort of Aliens Dropship and Rocinante is doing quite well there as well. So some of the newer stuff has actually overtaken the older stuff, even though the old stuff's been up much longer. So that's kind of as it should be. So yeah, I mean it's going all right really, but it has been quite an eye opener in the sense that clearly if you're doing something that's aimed at a sort of more modern audience, it's more current, then it's going to be much easier to rack up the views on it. I guess that sort of goes without saying. But it's been an interesting sort of experience to see how it's gone. A little Starbird video there, bless it, is doing quite well actually. That's had a couple of thousand views since. God, it was as far back as November 2022 that I did that. Wow. It's funny because I still find myself a bit COVID lagged. I don't know about anybody else, but it's like I find that my sense of time is still a bit skewed. So it's kind of odd to look at some of those and think, yeah, I was it was nearly 2 years ago now that I was starting to really sort of try and produce more new content with a view to monetization possibly becoming a more of a possibility. Space Above and Beyond. God, that was nearly 2 years ago as well. Gosh. I have been thinking about doing Space Above and Beyond as a sort of watch through, because there aren't that many episodes. And strangely, that one didn't get a copyright hit, even though I did include a few little bits of footage from the show. So I do wonder whether or not that would be relatively straightforward to do in terms of not having to undo copyright every 5 seconds. I don't know. I don't know. Gosh, most of my Eagle Moss stuff goes back to 2021. Well, that's nearly 3 years ago now. That's pretty crazy as well. That's pretty crazy. So it must have been about 3 years ago when I started to really sort of put stuff out. Because it took me a long time to go through Babylon 5 when I was doing my rewatch of that week by week. I went to iCollectibles about this time last year. I need to get across there again. I quite enjoyed that. That was Babylon 5 reboots. Babylon 5 model kit. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so 2021 I was still doing things like Severed Dreams. Yeah. Lego Ideas back in 2020. Gosh. Wow, it seems like forever ago now. For lots of reasons. Octonauts. May 1st, 2015. That's nearly 10 years ago now. Wow. It's more than 10 years, is it? No, 9 years ago. Yeah. Gosh. Pretty bonkers. Pretty bonkers. Okay. But, you know, I'm on a sort of gentle upwards trajectory. But let's just have a quick look at the analytics. This is quite funny. So you can see that about the time when I pruned those videos, if I go... where's the... Okay, yeah, last 28 days, last 90 days. So, so you can see... So there you go. So Saturday, March 2nd, that was just before I trimmed. So all of a sudden it goes... And it goes... And just keeps on going... It's got us bouncing around down the bottom here. And that's just views. But that just goes to show just how popular those old cartoon videos were. It's pretty crazy, really. But they were, even though they were unlisted, they were still taking up a huge amount of the sort of the views on the channel, because a lot of people were still finding them, and it was counting in my stats. That was the thing of it. It was counting in my stats. You can see it's pretty sort of steady away when you go sort of along here. It was just kind of, you know, looking after itself. But it's been that much lower during April and you know, the latter half of March after I took those cartoon videos off. So as you can see, the top content in the period. I guess as soon as you delete stuff, that's it. It's gone. There's no historical record of it. So YouTube just considers it dead and gone. That's the funny thing about it. So all of the other stuff, you know, the most popular stuff there is the Thunderbird stuff. So I really need to do my moles video. I've got a moles video I have a concept for. But I haven't put that one together yet. But clearly I need to, because it's one of the things that people like to see. I don't know if there are any other... Ooh, hello. Lots more info. What's that doing there? Oh, the Auto King. It's funny how you get these spikes sometimes, isn't it? Certain things just get lots and lots of views all of a sudden, and then it drops away again. So yeah, Jerry Anderson, Doncaster, Starbird, Aliens, Dinky Diecast. Okay, interesting. 60 years by Ross Nante. Yep. Okay, interesting. Interesting to me anyway. Probably not interesting to anyone else, but interesting to me. If only because it just helps me to understand how the channel's doing. Basically, that's what I'm trying to get off the back of this. And you know, as it's YouTube related, I thought I might as well share it as I was doing it, and it just gives me a bit of practice of live streaming and my sort of general setup as well. Because I look a bit washed out, I think, on the sort of the the camera view. It's because I've got natural light on my right hand side here, and it's kind of confusing the camera a little bit. I don't think it's coping with it very well. So I'm just going to see if I've got. Are you actually en route now, Gareth? Funny. I wondered when you might be heading off. I'm going to be the last individual standing, I think, aren't I? With the rest of you going to the NEC. Bless him. You don't drive, do you, Gareth? So I guess you have the advantage that you can catch up on videos whilst you're going to Birmingham. Brilliant. So for those not aware, 50% or so of the Cosmic Council is heading to an NEC toy fair, which is going to be humongous and great fun. But I've got a dog with me, so I can't really go, unfortunately. And I certainly don't have the cash this month for huge amounts of spend. So I will be living vicariously through those who are able to make it. Basically, that's the way of it. Richard R, did you read the B5 novels yet? I did. Do you know what? I started in on one of them, and it was quite painful, and it didn't really instill me with enthusiasm for the rest. I know some are much better than others, and I will make time for it. But I've been so busy doing the toy videos and stuff. I haven't really looped back around to Babylon 5, but I will get there. They are all sat on my shelf. As you might know, I went through a period where I dedicatedly sourced them all, and then promptly didn't do anything more with them. So yeah, I will get to them. Journey snacks. Well, yes, you must have journey snacks, wine gums, and I find the sharing tubs are good, but you won't actually be able to move tomorrow morning if you have to in many of those. So pace yourself. And it is going to be super warm in there. I think that's what I heard tell of on that stream. So when I told you to wear shorts, or you said you were going to wear shorts, I was actually applauding that decision because I think it could be really, really warm. What time are you all getting in tomorrow morning? Are you going to be able to get in for about 8 o'clock? So this could be a bit lagged because I'm sort of talking and I don't know how long it'll take to go out and then for you to type and come back. So Richard, have you? I hadn't actually intended to do a Babylon 5 themed stream, but what the hell? Have you read the B5 novels then, or are you sort of asking because you're interested in looking at them? I'm not actually getting this on my OBS setup. So this is an interesting experiment in the sense that I don't know how I see live chat at the same time. Oh, okay, YouTube Studio dashboard. That's interesting. That's just what I've got over there. So can I do both? Contents. Live. Okay. Analytics. Oh, view in live control room. Okay. Oh, okay, that's exciting. Okay, that's okay. So now I've got. Yes, they are mostly terrible. 9 is very good. Okay, yes, I know that there are certain ones that are key. And I do know a little bit about what happens in some of them as well, somewhat inevitably, because of, obviously, there's the stuff that I follow. This is good. So I've now got a separate YouTube Studio stream control panel that I've launched from OBS. Okay, all right, that's interesting. I could probably do all sorts of exciting things. I'm just afraid of sort of prematurely ending the stream. Which I feel would be a bad thing. The funny thing is, one of the reasons I haven't done this a lot is because when I am, up until recently, when I was running 2 screens, I couldn't get sound out of my soundbar. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why, because the graphics card has like 4 outputs. So I'm borrowing an HDMI output for my soundbar. Then I discovered that it was the NVIDIA control panel software that was messing things up, because whenever I switched my second monitor on, it pinched the stream that would have been feeding the soundbar and took it over to put the second monitor onto it, so it never regained the soundbar until the second monitor went off. So this is much more useful when I'm trying to do two things at once, obviously, because I get a big screen on my right and my main screen in front of me, and my webcam is kind of in the middle. But yeah, it never occurred to me that the software would be the thing that was actually clobbering my ability to hear coming out at the same time. So now on Cosmic Council, for example, I can do main video stream on one window and I can look at something on the web at the same time, and I can still hear what everyone's saying, because otherwise I lost what people were saying, so I couldn't keep going with the conversation. So it's strange the things that you fix years down the line, isn't it, when you suddenly realise that you weren't getting full benefit from it. So yeah. So I've got on the B5 novels topic, I've got all the separate novels, but I've also got the trilogies as well. So I've got the Techno Mage, the Centauri, the Telepath War one as well, I believe. So I should be doing all right with that. If it's just finding the time, as with anything else these days, I find it's just trickier. But on the plus side, I am having to go into work more now, so maybe what I should do is take the books with me when I'm going to work, and then I could read them on the train. Thank you, Richard. That might be a plan. That might be a plan, actually, if I can bear to get through them. I mean, the first one. It was they were giving like temperature readings for Mars, like that were making it sound like a hothouse, and I was just like, just do a basic fact check before you start writing, please, because that's just not right. Even back when it was being written, they should have known, that it was out of there. Yeah, I believe the trilogies are supposed to be pretty solid, because they take a lot of the plot threads that weren't dealt with in the show, because obviously the show was finite, but they do deal with a lot of that sort of side of things, so they will fill in gaps, is my sort of understanding, in terms of the time between sort of, season 5 and the final episode, that sort of stuff, so yeah, I definitely need to get up to speed on them. It's quite interesting, because I don't know if you listen to the Grey 17 podcast at all, but Scott, who's the kind of one of the, he was the initiator, I think, of that podcast, although he has a group of people that do the podcast. He hasn't actually read the books, which is interesting, because otherwise he's like supremely knowledgeable. So it's a really interesting listening to the podcast. And I've certainly learned stuff that I didn't know of before. And they're also intermixing JMS's Usenet posts into it as well, which is clever. So I think it'd definitely be interesting to have read the more canonical trilogies and books. Because then you've got the full, the full understanding of it. I've got some of the comics. You may have seen other videos that I've done where I've looked at the comics and the graphic novels, because a couple of those I picked up at the time. Then I got the sort of the graphic novels later on, but they're also canon, so they fill in some of the backstory as well around some of the events on Mars and things before the series started. So they're quite useful to look at as well if you haven't. Cool. Yeah, so hello, Mark. So are you in Gareth's car? Well, are the comics good? For me personally, and I do find that comics graphically are a very personal thing, I thought that the artwork was not to my taste, but I could kind of put that out of my mind because I could just transpose the characters from the show into it. So I kind of didn't have that much of an issue with it, and it was very much Babylon 5. So because it was Babylon 5, story-wise, I was there, definitely. They're probably not massively expensive. Well, I say that. I mean, I think there are some that are harder to come by than others, but if you look on eBay or possibly even Amazon still, you may well still be able to find them relatively reasonably, because they won't be, sort of massively difficult to come across, I think. In fact, if you look at things like World of Books on eBay, they can be really good for things like graphic novels, because often the individual sellers will try and put a ridiculous premium on them, whereas World of Books will just treat them like any other book. So, they'll just sell them, basically. So, have a think about that sort of thing. Shall we join? Probably not, because the problem is I'm just using my OBS software to do this stream, Mark, so I can't. It's not StreamYard stream. I'm just doing it direct from my machine using OBS, so I'm not aware of how to bring in other people on this, I'm afraid. I honestly wouldn't have a clue. So interesting idea to do a literally mobile stream. Except I'm immobile because I'm just sat on the chair. But I think I will go for the trilogies first. Yeah, I mean, if you can find them, Richard, there's a distinct. I'm trying to think which ones I found hardest to get. They weren't massively cheap, because I think they are quite hard to find. And I think some did come from the States in the end. But you might get lucky. If someone just happens to be getting rid of their collection, you might get lucky. Because I think Channel 4 had some sort of tie-in. So they did release the initial run of sort of individual books early doors. Hi, Gap. Gap, stop putting words in my mouth. Everyone is Gap. Funny. Yeah, the books are really apart from 9. Yeah. Because James has a lot of comics related stuff going on, so he's very into his comics. So absolutely natural that he would help do Babylon 5 comics, and I've probably got them here. Hang on. He says he's got them here. Yep. It's not what I was planning at all, I must admit, but I've got this isn't a comic, but that's the Coming of Shadows script book. You can see I annotated it ever so slightly because I was doing I was interested to see what the actual show looked like as compared to its script originally. So we've got I've got that one, which is a sort of initial Babylon 5. Hang on. Why am I struggling to brace yourselves? I'm going big. I wonder if this will work. Did that work? I think there's a bit of a lag between what I do and what appears on the live version. Right. Okay. I think that's worked in theory. I'm just watching the live stream to see if it does actually kick in. Here I come. Oh yeah. There we go. Yeah. So there's that one, which is a sort of season 2-y sort of offering. I think the story opens as Station Commander Jeffrey Sinclair is recalled to Earth, so that's post season 1, where information awaits him that will alter his life and the future of Babylon 5 forever. Yes. So there's that one. Now this is one of the ones I got more recently. So that's Babylon 5, The Price of Peace. So I hadn't seen that one until I really started looking for them. So there's that one as well. That's one of my oldest ones, Babylon 5 Shadows Past and Present. So I think that's the one that deals with some of the early Mars stuff. There's that one. And also, that one's quite an interesting one as well, Babylon 5 and Valen's Name. So as you can see, that's as you might have spotted just from the cover, that involves Babylon 4. And that's interesting as well, because it does answer one of those questions that isn't answered in the show itself about what actually became of Babylon 4. Just having a look at the chat. Yeah, I can't wait to see the NEC videos either. It's going to be quite annoying. I can bet you bottom dollar I'll be looking at the NEC videos going, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. I actually want somebody to give me a live stream so I can tell them to buy stuff as they go round. That'd be quite entertaining. Mr. Garibaldi. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he's got an interesting arc, Mr. Garibaldi, hasn't he? It has to be said. I knew somebody was going to do the biscuit gag, and it had to be Gareth. Now, Gareth hasn't seen the series, you see, so I'm couching this in very sort of broad terms, nor indeed had I intended this to be a Babylon 5 stream at all either. But I appreciate them. There must be some people who do keep an eye on the channel for Babylon 5 content, given that I did my sort of run-throughs a little while ago now. Garibaldi is ace. Yeah, I mean he's probably one of the most accessible characters on the show because everyone can kind of relate to him. He's a very, very human character, isn't he? Cap's daring people to block him. Nice. Go on, block me, I dare you. Funny. I don't know why I look quite so washed out. I don't look this washed out when I do Cosmic Council. It's because I've got the light coming in from the window. I think it's confusing my camera a little bit. Message retracted. Okay. I've got this a bit back to front actually. The weird thing is that on OBS it's immediate, but if I do that, my live view tells me I've done it about 5 seconds ago. So on the actual live version, so it's kind of a lot slower. Is it? Oh, right. And have they moved you to new? It's brighter. Yeah, I know it's brighter. It's because it's brighter outside. Look, see, it's bright outside. See, it's bright. And my camera feels like it's melting slightly as well. Perhaps I should move it. There we go. Perhaps I'm just sitting too far away from it as well. There you go. I'll lean forward a bit. It's more me now. It's more just me. There you go. Hello. It's actually quite pleasant. I had a bit of a drive out earlier on. It's pleasant out, if rather windy. I'm just seeing myself move the camera now. That's what the lag's like. Tidy that windowsill. What's the matter with my windowsill? I'm running an experiment. I'm seeing if my eagle moss bird of prey turns a different colour by being left on a windowsill. It's actually holding up remarkably well because it's not white, of course. So that does help. Yeah, it's all right. Nothing wrong with the windowsill. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. Don't know what else I was going to say, really. Yeah, nothing gets tidied in this house gap. That is accurate. It sometimes gets moved around, but I think tidy is a strong word, quite frankly. Yeah. I've got Matchbox catalogues. I've got all sorts of bits lying around here that need sorting out. I was going to do a video on these actually at some point as well. These little sort of Playmate play sets. I've got a couple in packaging still, so I could show the packaging for them. There's a Cardassian one I picked up a little while ago. They're quite nice little ship models, but the figures are so tiny, it's crazy. It's a bit of a sort of random concept, but I think it was when Playmates were just trying really hard to make something out of the the license that they had way back when, basically. I'm not even sure I'm supposed to get into it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so they've got these tiny little cockpits, which of course is completely out of scale for the series. So completely random concept, but it's just one of those things. Yes, they're made out of the finest plastic, but they are quite cool. And I say they're not bad models of the ships. That's kind of why I went for it, because I thought as an actual ship model, it's actually not bad. So fair dues. And it could have been sat. No, we could have shared a cell. Sorry. Oh, that's such an offer, Mark. What can I say? What can I say? We have shared a car before, though, of course. So Mark, Andy won't share a cell with you because you don't have a bar of soap. There'll be a complimentary one in the rooms. We're quite generous like that in the UK. I'm sure there'll be some freebies. I'm sure there will. It'd be really interesting to know. I wonder if the NEC is going to be one of those places where like 80% of people have early bird passes, so it's going to be absolutely manic from the moment you set foot in it. See, sometimes that sort of thing freaks me out a bit. I can deal with Doncaster even when it's busy because you feel like there's always somewhere you can escape to, but I don't know how this is going to be. I mean, I'm going to be fascinated to see what it actually looks like on the ground. I think I've seen clips a little bit before, but I'm purely a taxi service, as Mark well knows. And indeed a cargo service at times as well for people's Doctor Who videos, of course. Gap, I'm not sure that lots of people with lots of smelly on is actually better than them not having smelly on. That you can have too much of the Lynx effect. British viewers will understand that reference. They're all smelly. Okay. You'll probably be aware of the smell for 2 seconds, and then your nose will just shut down to protect your brain. It's probably one of those. This is quite possibly the most surreal Cosmic Council we've ever had. In that there's only me on screen and you two are just texting. Yeah, I'm a prisoner of transport. Yeah. I'm that unfortunate bloke off Blake 7 who gets killed in the first 3 minutes or so of the show. Yeah. One of the shows involved prisoner transport, so there's something in the back of my mind now that's making me think there was some famous show where they broke out of a prison transport sort of in space and then went on to have hijinks. It's not Firefly, is it? Because they never got captured in that. Can't think what I'm thinking of now. Prisoner transport. No, I can't think what I'm thinking of now. There's the first Chronicles of Riddick, isn't there? That's but he's the only prisoner, isn't there? As such, I suppose it's not actually a prison ship as such. I understood that reference, Mark. In fact, that's a double-edged reference, isn't it? Now that I think about it, that's both the original film and the subsequent film, isn't it? How long have I actually been streaming for now? I don't know. 40 minutes? I've been live for 40 minutes, have I? Good Lord. It is, it's 5 o'clock, isn't it? Good Lord. What else am I doing today? I've just got a bunch of parcels that arrived that I need to get through. I've just spotted that I hid my multi-mac in my library section, which was silly. I wanted to do something on that as well, briefly. At some point I should go through my comics collection, shouldn't I? I could do a stream of that, couldn't I? That'll bore people to tears. Can you make finger puppets with shadows to entertain us? The shadows are always here, my friend. You just can't see them until they move. What just popped up on my screen then? That was very distracting. Okay. That was William. Yeah, it's okay. I do tend to get your jokes, Gareth. Don't panic. I can't make finger puppets. I don't actually have much stuff that you won't have seen already to hand immediately here. I have some aliens figures. I've got a little baby Zoidzilla, but there isn't too much else here at the minute in this particular room, I'm afraid. I've decided I'm going to colour in my my Babylon 5 station model, which I'm sure will go horribly wrong at some point. But the original stickers aren't right for the show at all. I don't know if I covered this somewhere else, but what they did was they in the show they would have used a transparency on the sort of the graphic that they apply, so you can see the original metal of the Babylon station through it. But what they did for the stickers was, because they thought it was a graphic, the graphic they got given, obviously it made it a white square. So the stickers have a blue and white square check pattern for the front of the station, which is completely wrong. And it took me like a couple of weeks of staring at it to realise that's what's wrong with it, in part at least. So I need to try and fix that if I can. How is the M6? Are you on the? How are you getting to? Is it? I'm just trying to think where the when people say Birmingham, I think M6, but you can't have wanted to go that far west to go south, surely. So how are you doing it? You're going to go A1 or M1 down and then across? And is it ridiculously windy as well? The next live stream will be from your car. We're on the road to nowhere. That one, that earworm. As long as he's not giving you anything else, Gareth, just be grateful, you know. Now, cool. Next question is, how much space is spare in the car to put all the stuff that you buy into? Because that has been a problem for you in the past, as I recall. And you don't have my boot available this time. Yeah, you don't think Mark is driven, he does not drive. That is the way of it, you know? Yes, and for those not of an American persuasion, a trunk is not a thing an elephant has, he means the boot. Oh, of course, it's a 7-seater, isn't it? Yeah, so it's immense and you've only got 3 of you in it. That's cool. Oh, Gap. Leave poor Mark alone. Honestly. So, Mark, I haven't actually watched your Star Wars video yet. Did you actually buy anything from your local auction house that randomly had Star Wars stuff? How did that happen? Was that just someone who was a collector who was putting some stuff up in Morley for no apparent reason? I mean, I know it happens, you know. So I keep looking to my right because the chat's over there. I wonder if I can. Let me just switch. I'm just terrified of moving stuff around in case I kill the stream, but I'll just bounce it across here. There we go. Okay. Now I can look at you more directly, even though my image is weirdly lagged. Now I can be in 2 places at once. There you go. I can't believe I'm this lagged between speaking and appearing on the live, though. That's really odd. It might just be a quirk of the software I'm using. I don't know. Driving Miss Markey. Funny. Right, I'm going to have what is only my second cup of tea of the day because I was kept awake until the early hours by a slightly poorly dog. So my sense of time today is a bit skewed, to say the least. All I can see from Gap's comment there is, have you been nipping the w? Because I've got a heart-shaped icon in the way of the actual wine. Is that way? Like, no, sadly not. No, I don't actually have much wine in the house at the minute at all. Not that I want to open anyway. But I might imbibe a beer beverage at some point in the evening. So we're going to get some sort of live location-based stream tonight then, once you've actually got down there in one piece. Is that going to be a thing? I've got one video coming on Sunday night, but I don't know if you guys will be back for it. So I'll probably still leave it up, but I might not do many. I might not do many videos during next week, simply because I imagine that you guys will be doing a lot of videos once you finish processing. The amount of what made me smile is when I was thinking about it earlier on was how many gigabytes of footage you're actually going to produce between all of you. It's going to be immense, which is quite entertaining as a concept. You could be in there for hours, couldn't you? Because if you get in at 8, it probably doesn't shut until like 4, so you could be in there for like 8 hours. Yeah, well, that's what I was just thinking. Well, I've got my I've got my little list here. It doesn't always tell you when the early opening is, mind you, but according to my NEC Birmingham information, early bird entry from 8 a.m. It runs from 10:30 to 3 p.m. So it normally only runs for 4.5 hours, but you get an extra 2.5, so you can do 7 hours maximum. According to my little information booklet there. I don't actually know when the next local one is. When is the next local one? It's Bolton next weekend. I don't know if I like Bolton though. I don't dislike it, but I think Doncaster's got a better range for the sort of stuff that I'm into. Then Doncaster's on the 21st. Can I do Doncaster? I might be able to, actually. Oh no, I can't. Oh no, I can't. Damn. Yeah, I'm a bit snookered. I'm a bit snookered for the 14th and the 21st. Yeah, I've forgotten about that. That's a pain. That's a pain. Celebration last year. I do pity the driver who's completely oblivious to all of this stuff that's going on in the background, presumably. Oh, there's going to be these snorts and snickers from Mark and Gareth every 5 minutes, and the driver's going to be going, "What?" Bless him. I like the driver though, because he once referred to me as the well-spoken one. That did make me chuckle at the time, bless him. I picked up these a little while ago as well. I'm going to see those on screen in about a minute's time, probably. It's the Babylon 5 trading cards. Like, in fact, they're actually double-sided. I'll have to do another video on those at some point. Just have a quick look at them. I don't know how popular they were at the time. They're nice quality images from the show though, which is always a nice thing to see. In fact, it was this one. It was this one that made me realise what the issue with the with my model was, because when I looked at it, I realised that those checks were grey rather than white, and that was what was one of the things that was really sort of drawing my eye. But I just hadn't quite put my finger on why. Honestly, doesn't take long, does it? Doesn't take long. Now we're comparing sizes, honestly. Richard, yes, sorry, Richard. I'm just chuckling at the fact that you're still there, despite what's going on in the chat, which you may or may not be familiar with as a concept. Bless you. Mark, say hello to my little friend. Funny. Gap. Dear. He's not on the same. I don't think he's on the same row, so I'm not quite sure how that would be happening. But anyway. Dear. Good Lord. Can't wait for the after action report on this one. It's going to be interesting. What time is it for you, Gap? Is it your lunchtime at the moment, Gap? Come here, Jake. Jakey, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. There we go. Oh. Got my special guest presenter look. Whee! Oh, don't start growling. And that's the first time. Never work with pets and animals. I lifted him as soon as I lifted him up. He saw another dog out the window, so he's off on one now. Oh well. What do you want us to look for you, Andy? Well, yes, there is that, isn't there? Probably not a lot, as I'm trying not to expend all my pennies this month at the rate of knots, but that seems inevitable anyway. I don't know. If you see a Terrorhawks Battlehawk that isn't stupid money, then ping me a message. Puppers. Yeah, if he calms down, I might bring him back on again, Gareth. But he's not a puppy. He's anything. He thinks he's a puppy, but he's about 7 years old. He just thinks he's a puppy. He likes me fine, Gappy. It's every other life form on the planet he has an issue with. Oh, God. He had me up until about 3 a.m. last night, bless him, because he had a slightly poorly tummy. He was actually fine. He wasn't sick or anything, but his tummy was growling like crazy. And he just... Oh. Anyway. Such are the joys of pet ownership. Such are the joys. Right, I'm going to go and make a cup of tea, I think. It's always possible, Mark. He could have a secret identity thing going on. Perhaps he can't come back to the country for legal reasons. We just don't know, do we? You know. Oh, just about past Sheffield. Okay, cool. So that must mean you're on the M1 then. So what are you going to do? Yeah, well, I wondered this as well, Gap, actually. I wondered if they might try and do a live from the NEC. But I don't know what the signal's going to be like in there. Alright, see you later, Gap. No stopping at Meadowhall. You put you in Meadowhall, you'll never leave. I don't actually know how well Meadowhall's doing these days. I mean, it used to be quite a regular haunt of mine because I was in Sheffield for a year. Do a short live stream tonight, but not for long. Okay, cool. Okay. At the same time. Yeah, because that's really helpful for us trying to watch it. I shall be living vicariously. Yes. Definitely. It's going to be quite interesting for you, Gareth, though, isn't it? Because you're going to be able to see how all the other stalls are set out and stuff. I wonder how many people you'll actually know who are going down there. Because the people who go to Birmingham also go to Doncaster, or is it more limited than that? I don't really know what people tend to do. He's still kicking off downstairs. Silly dog. Right, well, I think I'm probably going to call it quits there and have a cup of tea. Before I completely run out of voice. And then I need to think about what I'm actually doing for the rest of the day. Definitely need to unbox some stuff. Definitely need to do that. Right, well, I hope you continue having a smooth journey down, folks. And do enjoy on my behalf, won't you? And you can tell me all about your adventures at a later date. Indeed. Bye! Just imagine there's a closing outro thing now, because I can't really do that on OBS yet. Bye!